And Madhu, I think kind of just double clicking on that point of private equity, right? If I kind of look back to even like 10 years back, as investors, when we were thinking about potential liquidity opportunities or who's going to give us an exit, you typically not think about PE funds. I mean, the multiples were not
Mhm.
good. They were kind of not the attractive acquirers. You always wanted to sell the company to a Google or a Salesforce. But now I'm seeing kind of a renewed narrative, especially I think post 2021, where there are a lot
Mhm.
of large private equity funds, lot of dry powder. The bar to go public, especially in the US, has gone up a lot. So, any views on how should founders think about kind of private equity as a potential exit option for their SaaS startups?
Yeah, excellent question. And Hans and I are in the thick of a number of conversations with both the buy side and the sell side when it comes to tech startups and private equity firms, right? So we depending on how much time you give us, Sumitra, we can keep going forever. But so there's two categories of private equity for the purpose of this conversation. Let's divide it into lower mid-market private equity, right? And then the traditional, you're at $100 million and above revenue range. So sub 20 million, 20 to 50, and then 50 to 100 and above. Um, there's been for a number of reasons, there's been a renewed interest, like you mentioned. And it's not just the traditional big players, right? Not just the KKRs and the Carlyles of the world, but you've got TPG, you've got Vista, you've got Thoma Bravo. They've all built excellent playbooks, recognizing the growth potential of software as a space. And that has spawned lower middle market private equity, which is a company that's 5, 10, 15, 20 million in revenue. What can we do with that company? And there's so many specialized firms that have popped up that arguably implement a quite a different playbook than the traditional private equity firms, right? They're not coming in and looking at, they don't have scale to work with, especially if you're a 5 million, 10 million revenue company. There's still some true founder operator support you need to give this company to make any reasonable financial exit. So you cannot come in and think about it as if you're buying $100 million revenue company. So there's a whole host of guidance for the founder to consider that path. And there's a whole host of guidance for a PE firm looking at tech-based startups that are not at the super scale range to try and truly derive value from this. So lots of options. I heavily recommend folks, even if they're not in the market for selling their company, to just educate themselves on the opportunities for liquidity when it comes to private equity.
Yeah, no, this is super helpful because I don't think there's enough conversation
Yeah.
right now about kind of private equity as kind of an exit method, right? So I think this is incredibly helpful.